Think about a moment from your past, not a historical event, not a date in a textbook, a real moment. Maybe it was a childhood afternoon that felt endless. Maybe it was a conversation with someone you haven't seen in years. Maybe it was a laugh, a goodbye, or a quiet moment that seemed ordinary at the time, but became precious later. Whatever moment came to mind, one thing probably feels obvious. It is gone, completely and permanently gone. That is how human beings experience time. Every second arrives, exists briefly, and then disappears forever into the past. Life feels like a moving spotlight traveling through reality. The present moment is illuminated. The future waits in darkness. The past fades behind us, becoming memories and photographs and stories. And because this experience feels so natural, most people never question it. Of course, the past is gone. How could it be otherwise? After all, you cannot return to yesterday. You cannot revisit a childhood birthday or relive a conversation from 10 years ago. The people you once were seem inaccessible, now buried beneath layers of passing time. Entire versions of your life appear to have vanished without a trace. Time feels like a relentless process of erasure. Every moment is created only to be destroyed. Every experience exists only briefly before disappearing forever. It is one of the deepest assumptions woven into human consciousness. And yet physics has a strange habit of questioning assumptions that feel obvious. The earth feels motionless, but it isn't. The Sunday appears to move around us, but it doesn't. Space feels fixed. Time feels universal. Again and again, science has revealed that reality often behaves very differently from how it appears. And when physicists began investigating the true nature of time, they encountered something deeply unsettling. The universe does not seem to distinguish between past, present, and future as clearly as human beings do. That possibility sounds almost impossible to accept because our entire lives are organized around the passage of time. We remember the past. We experience the present. We anticipate the future. Every decision, every goal, every regret depends upon that structure. Time feels fundamental, more fundamental than distance, more fundamental than motion, perhaps even more fundamental than matter itself. But the deeper scientists explored reality, the more fragile that certainty became. Clocks tick forward, people age, causes precede effects. Everything appears to move in one direction. Yet beneath those familiar experiences lies a deeper question. What exactly is the past? Most people would answer immediately, the past is what no longer exists. But physics is surprisingly reluctant to make that claim. Because when scientists describe reality mathematically, they do not find a universal mechanism continuously deleting moments from existence. They find equations that often treat time in ways that are far stranger and far less intuitive than human experience suggests. The universe does not seem to contain a cosmic clock sweeping moments out of reality one by one. In fact, some of our best physical theories suggest something profoundly unsettling. The distinction between past, present, and future may not be built into reality itself. It may be built into us. And if that possibility is true, even partially true, then one of the most important assumptions humans have ever made could be wrong. The moments you call gone may not have disappeared in the way you imagine. The past may not be lost. It may simply be something far stranger than anyone expected. And that strange possibility began with a man who challenged humanity's understanding of time itself, Albert Einstein. When most people think about time, they imagine a single universal present, right now, this moment, a shared now that stretches across the universe. It feels obvious. If someone is standing on Earth and another person is standing on a distant planet, surely there must be one objective answer to what is happening at this exact moment, their locations may differ, their experiences may differ. But the present itself seems like something everyone should share. For centuries, physicists believed exactly that. Time was thought to be a giant cosmic clock, ticking uniformly throughout reality. Every event in the universe was assigned a position on that clock. The past was fixed. The future had not happened yet. The present was the thin boundary separating the two. Simple, intuitive. Wrong. At the beginning of the 20th century, Albert Einstein discovered something that shattered this picture completely. The strange behavior of light forced him to confront an uncomfortable truth. The universe does not contain one universal present. To understand why, imagine two lightning bolts striking opposite ends of a long train. An observer standing on a platform exactly halfway between the strikes sees both flashes arrive simultaneously. Naturally, that observer concludes the lightning strikes occurred at the same time. Now imagine another observer sitting inside a train moving rapidly past the platform. This observer is moving toward one flash and away from the other. Because light travels at a fixed speed, the observer on the train receives one flash before the other. And from their perspective, the lightning strikes did not happen simultaneously. The other occurred later. Here is the unsettling part. Neither observer is wrong. Both are correct. The universe genuinely allows them to disagree. This wasn't a flaw in measurement. It wasn't a limitation of technology. It was a feature of reality itself. Einstein realized that simultaneity, the idea that two events happen at the same time, is not absolute. It depends on the observer. That conclusion sounds technical at first, but its implications are enormous. Because if different observers cannot agree on what events are happening simultaneously, then the concept of a universal now begins to collapse. And once now collapses, the distinction between past, present, and future becomes far less clear than human intuition suggests. Imagine someone living on a distant planet, many light years away. According to one observer's motion through space-time, a certain event on that planet may belong to the present. According to another observer moving differently, the same event may belong to the future. A third observer might classify it as part of the past. Reality itself does not appear to provide one privileged answer. There is no giant cosmic spotlight illuminating a single moment called now across the entire universe. Instead, different observers slice space-time differently. Each carries their own version of the present. This realization disturbed many physicists because it attacked something deeply emotional. Human beings experience the present as uniquely real. The past feels gone. The future feels unreal. Only this moment appears to exist fully. Yet relativity provides no special status to the present. The equations do not point to one universal moment marching forward through. In fact, the mathematics treats time much more like a dimension, not entirely unlike space. Just as different people can disagree about position, depending on perspective, different observers can disagree about temporal relationships as well. And suddenly, the familiar flow of time begins looking less fundamental than we once believed. The universe no longer resembles a movie being projected frame by frame. It begins resembling something larger, something already complete, a structure where different moments coexist within a deeper reality called space-time. And once physicists started taking that possibility seriously, a startling question emerged. If there is no universal now moving through the cosmos, then what exactly makes us believe the past is gone at all? Once Einstein's relativity removed the idea of a universal present, an astonishing possibility emerged. Maybe the past never actually disappeared. To most people, that statement sounds absurd. After all, yesterday feels gone. Last year feels gone. Childhood feels gone. Entire decades of human history seem buried behind an invisible wall called the past. We remember those moments, but we no longer experience them. And because we cannot return to them, we naturally assume they no longer exist. But relativity raises a difficult question. What if that assumption comes from human experience rather than physical reality? To understand why. When you look at a map of a country, every city exists on the map simultaneously. One city is not more real than another simply because it is closer to your current location. The entire landscape exists at once. Your position determines what you are experiencing, but it does not determine what exists. Some physicists believe spacetime may work in a surprisingly similar way. This idea is known as the block universe. According to this interpretation, the universe is not constantly creating and destroying moments as time passes. Instead, every event past, present, and future exists within a four-dimensional structure called space-time, your birth. A conversation tomorrow, a sunset a century ago, all of them occupy different locations within space-time, just as different cities occupy different locations on a map from this perspective. Time does not flow through the universe. The universe simply is. That idea can feel deeply unsettling because it clashes with almost every aspect of human experience. You feel moments arriving and disappearing. You feel yourself traveling from the past into the future. The block universe suggests something very different. It suggests that what feels like motion through time may be a feature of consciousness rather than a feature of reality itself. Imagine a movie reel. Every frame already exists on the film strip. The beginning exists. The middle exists. The ending exists. Yet when projected onto a screen, the viewer experiences a moving story unfolding moment by moment. The characters believe events are happening. The audience experiences change. But from the perspective of the film strip itself, all frames coexist simultaneously. Some physicists argue that space-time may resemble the film strip more than the movie experience. And if that is true, then the implications become extraordinary. The child you once were may still exist within space-time. The conversations you remember may still occupy their locations. Every moment of your life may remain embedded within the structure of reality. Not as memories, not as recordings, but as actual events occupying their coordinates in space-time. This does not mean time travel becomes possible. It does not mean you can revisit those moments. A city can exist on a map without being accessible from your current location. Likewise, a moment can exist within space-time without being reachable from where you are now. The block universe is not claiming the past is active or changing. It is suggesting that the past may be permanent, fixed within the geometry of space-time itself. This idea fascinated Einstein. Near the end of his life, when comforting the family of a close friend who had died, Einstein wrote something remarkable. He suggested that for those who believe in physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is a stubbornly persistent illusion, not completely unreal, but perhaps not fundamental. That statement continues to echo through modern physics because it challenges one of humanity's deepest assumptions. The assumption that moments are continuously erased from existence. If space-time truly resembles a block-like structure, then the universe may not be deleting moments at all. The moments remain. We simply experience only one tiny slice of them at a time. If all moments coexist within space-time, why does consciousness experience only a single moment moving forward through time? If the block universe is even partially correct, then a profound question immediately appears. Why does time feel like it is moving? because regardless of what physics says, human experience is unmistakable. You remember yesterday, you experience today, you anticipate tomorrow. Every second seems to arrive from the future, become the present, and disappear. The sensation feels so direct that questioning it almost seems impossible. And yet physics has repeatedly taught us that feeling something and understanding it are not always the same thing. The earth feels motionless. Space feels flat. Time feels like it flows. Reality has surprised us before. One possible clue comes from something called entropy. Entropy is often described as a measure of disorder, but a better way to think about it is the number of possible arrangements a system can have. Left alone, most systems naturally move from more ordered states toward less ordered ones. Ice cubes melt, buildings decay, smoke spreads through the air. You never see the reverse happen naturally. A melted ice cube does not spontaneously reassemble itself. A shattered glass does not leap from the floor and reconstruct itself. The laws of physics generally allow these processes in principle, but they are overwhelmingly unlikely. And that asymmetry may explain something important about our experience of time. The past contains records. The future does not. You remember yesterday because traces of yesterday exist inside your brain. Photographs contain information about earlier events. Fossils preserve evidence of ancient life. The universe is filled with records pointing toward what we call the past. But no equivalent records arrive from the future. This creates a direction. Not necessarily because time itself flows, but because information accumulates in one direction. In other words, what we experience as the passage of time may be closely connected to the way entropy changes throughout the universe. That idea leads to a fascinating possibility. Maybe time does not move. Maybe consciousness moves through information. Every page already exists inside the book. The ending is present from the moment the book is printed. Yet while reading, you experience the story sequentially. You encounter one page after another. Characters appear to move through events. The future seems unknown until you reach it. The experience of progression emerges from your relationship to the information. Some physicists believe our experience of time may be similar. The moments within space-time may all exist, while conscious experience encounters them sequentially. The sensation of moving through time emerges because each moment contains memories of earlier moments, but not later ones. You remember childhood, you do not remember next year. That asymmetry creates the feeling of temporal motion. Of course, this remains one of the deepest mysteries in science. No theory fully explains consciousness. No theory completely explains why awareness experiences reality the way it does. But what is remarkable is how often physics points toward the same conclusion. The flow of time that feels so fundamental may not be a basic feature of the universe. It may be an emergent feature of experience, a consequence of memory, entropy, causality, and information. And if that possibility is true, then something extraordinary follows. The difference between past and future may not be as absolute as human intuition suggests. The moments of your life may not be continuously appearing and disappearing. Instead, they may all occupy their places within space-time, while your conscious experience traces a path through them, a path that feels like motion, a path that feels like becoming, a path that feels like life itself. And hidden inside that possibility is something unexpectedly emotional. Because if moments are not truly erased from reality, then perhaps the things we believe are lost have not vanished in the way we imagine. Perhaps they remain woven into the fabric of space-time itself. There is something deeply human about believing the past is gone. Perhaps that is why loss feels so powerful. A childhood home is sold, a conversation ends. A loved one passes away. An ordinary afternoon becomes a memory. Time seems to take everything eventually, And because we experience life one moment at a time, it is easy to imagine those moments falling into nothingness, erased forever by the relentless passage of time. But the picture painted by modern physics is not quite so simple. Relativity does not prove that the past still exists. The block universe is not an established fact. Scientists continue debating the deepest nature of time itself. Yet what makes these ideas so fascinating is that they open a door most people never realized existed. A door leading to a different way of thinking about existence. In everyday life, we imagine reality as a process. Moments are born, moments exist, moments die. But within space-time, reality may look less like a process and more like a structure, a vast four-dimensional landscape containing every event that ever occurs. From that perspective, the moments of your life are not continuously being erased. They occupy their locations within the geometry of reality. Your first day of school, a conversation with a friend, a sunset you barely noticed, a person you loved, those moments may remain exactly where they always were, not accessible, not changeable, but not necessarily destroyed. There is something strangely comforting about that possibility. Not because it eliminates loss. Loss remains real. The inability to return to a moment is real. The fact that we experience separation is real. Physics offers no escape from those truths. Yet it suggests that absence and non-existence may not be the same thing. A city beyond the horizon still exists. A distant galaxy remains real, even when its light has not yet reached you. And perhaps the past is similar, not gone, simply located somewhere you can no longer travel. That idea resonated deeply with Einstein himself. After the death of his close friend, Michel Besso-Einstein wrote that for those who understand physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. It is one of the most quoted lines in science, not because it provides certainty, but because it captures a profound mystery. The universe may be far larger than the way human consciousness experiences it. Our perception gives us a moving present. Physics gives us space-time. Our intuition gives us disappearance. Reality may give us something more complicated, and perhaps that is the most beautiful possibility hidden within all of this. Every laugh, every heartbeat, every triumph, every mistake, every person who ever existed, every moment that ever mattered, instead of being erased from existence, they may remain permanently written into the fabric of reality itself, like coordinates etched into space-time, unreachable, yet still there, silent, yet still real. Of course, nobody knows with certainty whether the block universe is the final answer. The mystery of time remains one of the deepest questions in all of physics. But if there is one lesson hidden inside relativity, it is this: the universe does not always behave the way it feels. And perhaps the moments you treasure most did not vanish when they became the past. Perhaps they are still there, occupying their place in the grand structure of space-time, not lost, not erased, simply existing in a region of reality that your journey through time can no longer reach.